In part 3 of lecture 1, we will discuss basic Linux commands. A lot of what we do on a computer involves files. Most commands are implemented as program files. Our data is stored in files. So knowing how to create files, copy files, print files, and save files is very important. There are several different types of files that we have on a Linux system. First of all, there are file editors. There are 3 that we will work with this semester: VI, a full-screen editor, and 2 line-oriented editors: ED, the original editor, and EX, which is an improved version of ED. There are 2 different commands for printing files: cat and pr. We can move or rename files using mv. We can copy them with cp and delete them with rm. Filters are programs that will allow us to change the data in files that we are working with. These include grep, sort, diff, and tail. There are 3 different text editors that we are interested in. ED was the original text editor, and for a time it was the only text editor for Unix systems. We will start by working with it. EX was ED extended, hence the X in the name, and included a few additional commands. Most importantly, EX commands could be used with VI. VI is a visual editor. It is screen-oriented, while ED and EX are line-oriented. This makes working with it much easier than with ED or EX. But it also allows you to use EX commands, which can make certain operations a little faster if you were working purely with VI. ED is a simple editor, and if you are doing a relatively limited amount of editing, it's not that difficult to work with. There are 2 modes of operation: text entry mode and command mode. We start the editor by simply typing ed, so it hasn't loaded a file into memory. We enter text entry mode because there is nothing to edit. If we type the line beginning with A and then an enter key, we are ready to add or append text. We can type line after line without a problem. When we are finished adding text, we begin a new line with period and then press enter, and we are back in command mode. When we write W, the file will be written or saved, and since we never indicated a file name before, we need to include it now after the W, and we will call it junk. When it tells us that there are 39 characters saved, we know that the file was saved, and we can type Q to quit. If I wish, I can go back later to make changes in the file. This time I open the editor by typing ed junk. This way, the editor already has the file's name. In this case, we can see that the file doesn't seem to exist. After typing A, I can enter to be or not to be, and by pressing the period at the beginning of the next line and hitting enter, that will be the end of the text that I'm adding right now. Then I press A and enter again, and I'm back in entering text mode. I can type "that is the question," and after pressing period at the beginning of a line and hitting enter, I'm finished. If I want to see what I've typed, I can type $$P. It tells the editor to print or display on the screen lines 1 through the end, and then it prints the file. S stands for substitute. If I type S followed by a slash, and then type the, and then type another slash, and then the with a capital T, and then another slash, I am telling the computer to find the next occurrence of the and replace it with the with a capital T. I write the file, and my file now has 40 characters. Q for quit, and I'm finished. ls is short for list. It lists the files in the current directory, unless I type a file name as well. If I type ls by itself, it will only give me the file name. But if I type ls space -l, I get more information, and we will talk about this shortly. If I type ls space lt, it will give the files in reverse chronological order, most recent first. I can combine these two options and have them both at once by typing ls space l-lt or by typing ls-l space again -t. ls space -l gives us a long listing. Let's take a look and see what this all means. The dashes, R's, and W's is the permission scheme for the files. We will talk more about that in a minute. The number after that is the number of links to the file. Siegfried is the login name of the file's owner, and users is the name of the owner's group. The files are both 40 bytes in size, both last modified on June 9th, with junk at 4:49 p.m. and temp at 5:03 p.m. The permission scheme contains a lot of information in those 10 characters. The dash at the beginning tells me that this is a regular file. If it had been a D instead of a dash, it would mean that this is a directory. Then there are 3 fields of 3 characters each. The first 3 are the permissions that the file's owner has granted to himself or herself. The second 3 are the permissions for the members of the owner's group. And the final 3 are for the rest of the world. Each set of 3 tells you whether read permission, write permission, and or execute permission has been granted. Any combination of these 3 is possible for each of the 3 parties involved, and they always appear in that order. The RW dash means that the owner has read permission and write permission, but not execute permission. The first R dash dash means that the owner's group has read permission, but cannot write or execute. And the second R dash dash means that the rest of the world also has only read permission. Cat seems like a strange name for a print command, but we can also use it to concatenate data. More on this later. When I type cat temp, it will display the contents of the file temp on the screen. If I type cat junk, it will display the contents of that file. If I type cat temp junk, it will display the contents of both files in the order in which they appear in the command. PR stands for print, but that is not what it does. It displays the file in a format that is suitable for printing. This is because different Unix systems might use different commands for generating hard copy. LP would be one commonly used command. If I type PR, a space, dash, and then a number, I can have the file displayed in n columns, where n is the number that I typed after the command. While MV stands for move, it is only one of the things that this command can do. It can also be used to change the name of a file. CP is short for copy. It creates a copy of the file. RM is short for remove. It is used for deleting files. This slide shows a few samples of move, copy, and remove. We start out with the 2 files, junk and temp. After entering mv junk precious, we find that our 2 files are precious and temp, because of the name change. After typing copy, precious, junk, we find that we have 3 files, junk, precious, and temp. The new file jump is a copy of precious, which was originally named junk. Remove precious deletes this file, and we are back to where we started.